And we are live. It's Brad's Fireside Talk with a wild Brenton entering the fray. Everything's going to be good in life. What's going on, Brenton? He's going to currently be bouncing in and out with audio because I'm pretty sure there's a Kumite match going on with a child, and I think there was at least 2 jackhammers firing up in the background. I never know what's happening. Are you okay? Do I need to call 911?
Yeah, no need to call 911. Just a toddler being a toddler and dogs barking at the door.
What's up, everyone? I wanted to go early enough to have a little bit of hangout time with our European friends. I don't really know why I just decided to put that kind of an accent on European, but whatever. I don't even know what country that would have been. But sometimes you gotta make it happen. I've got questions from our Discord I'm going to hit up first, and then I'm going to go into the live chat, and I'm going to talk about literally whatever you guys want to talk about. We're just going to answer questions, and then when I get tired, because I'm an old man, I'm going to leave. That's literally the format. It's the easiest format ever. I'm going to dive in, cannonball, to the first question. Excellent question from Teddy. In what ways have the tabletop tactics changed and not changed over the editions? So I went from 2nd to all the way to 10th here. And weirdly enough, the tactics are always the same. You're looking for score. I mean, in the early games, we had to kill people, but you're still looking for good trades, isolating units. I mean, the basic tactics. Now, they're going to change based on the mechanics of the game in each edition. So those will change a bit, but the base way that you're going to play the game and doing good trades, staying on a line of sight, things of that nature are always going to be the same on that. So great question. So it's basically mechanics will change, which will change how you do things, but the base thing that you want to do is always going to stay the same, which is intelligent trades that are in your favor, not putting yourself in front of your opponent and not relying on dice. I love this. Brad interrupt my Sunday studies of military logistics with a fireside beef barbecue. Just don't sleep with me. I would say don't sleep with me. Yeah, always sleep with me. Just don't sleep like I do, and you'll have more time to go into pointless YouTube holes, which is what I do consistently. Let's go. With it now being confirmed, which Primaris units are you looking forward to sticking in Primaris units are you looking forward to sticking in a drop pod? I hate drop pods so much, but I own like 1 million of them because I used to run them in Space Wolves. I want the random Gravis shooting units, to be honest with you. I'm not even more excited about the drop pod. You know what I'm excited about? The repulsor transport that can hold freaking anybody. You can jam it. Literally, you could put it. I don't know how they're doing it, but you're jamming a Centurion and putting it in that thing. That is awesome, actually.
That was literally my first thought was let's put some Assault Centurions in a repulsor and just run it forward.
4 of them. You could just run out and basically melt a flavor, Hurricane Bolt, or whatever, and then go, hey man, I got a Siege Hammer. These don't fuck around. It's legit. Exactly, Zoobs. There won't be much sleeping. But I really like the idea of putting... I hope they give them fly again. Maybe they don't. Maybe I can move through buildings. You know what I mean? We haven't seen any of that yet. But I would love... It feels like it's going to be a pretty big goddamn tank meta. So with transports, tanks, and everything else, I think that's going to be pretty badass. I hated the fact that they restricted it in the first place, to be honest with you. Your transport should just hold dudes in it. And things like Centurions and Aggressors and stuff like that get a lot better with the ability to just zoom them up with a good transport. You know what I mean? And it looks like we're going to have, with those huge toughnesses and stuff like that, you're going to be able to actually get things. Because right now you can't take... I mean, you can. We saw a couple Impulsor Rush lists in Adepticon, but like, as a whole, the meta's so lethal that you're just never going to get those things up there, and they got to walk around shit. So I think you're going to be able to do more of that. I think you might say it's like Rhino Rush, but like you might get the ability to do a impulsor, repulsor, whatever type of rush army now. And I think that's kind of exciting. It just, at the beginning of an edition, a lot of times, because we're not going to have the same amount of lethality, because we don't have, everybody doesn't have their codexes, everybody doesn't have all their tricks, the lethality goes down, and we might have just more options to do things like just push stuff up and see how it rolls. Also, I'm kind of excited that we'll go into this in some of the terrain questions, but it looks like we're going to get effectively just straight up always blocking windows and stuff like that, which solves so many arguments and everything else and makes you be able to do certain things. You know what I mean? Mobility is the key.
So I think one of the things I was looking at immediately was salamanders when I saw some of the new rules, like you know, just shovel whatever I want into the vehicles. Because I mean, who doesn't want to just bring down a bunch of what are they? Little flamer dudes. They're Primaris gravis dudes, aggressors.
Oh yeah, man!
It sounds absolutely amazing with salamanders.
And
then you take the little gravis captive that's like almost unkillable, just shove him in their face, turn one, and a drop pod two.
Oh, I love that stuff. I mean, there's just options. I mean, I always want options. I like the complexity of the game, but that's just the way I like to play. Like, have a lot of stuff going on. Matt Dennis, with all the killings coming down and units becoming more durable, do you think the trading unit aspect of the game is going away? No, it will not. You will just have to focus fire more and better. 100%, especially when people think that. We're not even just think that. Even when it is that way, the tradiness is still there. It's just you can now take way more advantage of people making mistakes, because right now it's like anything is out there is just dead. Now, if you can limit the amount of firepower, I talk about this quite a bit. You can't always make it so that no one can see you or shoot you, but you can make it so that limited people can see or shoot you, and not getting punished as much for that. You know, just a 1 or 2 units that are able to mobile around you, excuse me, is a big deal. You might actually survive way more, especially if we're in a transport vehicle heavy meta. You know what I mean? You trade and then put that transport, you know, up there, especially because it looks like we're going to be able to move and then get out a lot of these transports. Well, obviously we have assault ramps talking about the Land Raider, but like even with guys getting out and being able to shoot, so we've already seen a couple of units that are supposedly be able to get out and do that. I don't know if that's going to be game wide, but that's a pretty cool thing. You know what I mean? Because then you could use the transport to screen yourself, because some of these tanks are big, man. They block line of sight crazily. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like you can get some different tactics now. You know what I mean? If we can move after. Or even just when you move before, you get out and then you kind of power slide with that, because that impulsor blocks like kind of a lot of line of sight, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. It's got a low profile. It's got switches on it. Bzzz,
one of the thought process I had when looking at the availability to just get out of the vehicle after moving was, I'm wondering if they're going to clean up the rule a little bit, or if we're still going to be able to just hop out from like that little needle point of a raider.
Yeah.
And then go from there. Or is it going to make more logical sense, or are we still, you know?
Well, we used to have, if you remember, well, it was always that in the Raider, but like we used to have, you remember when you used to have to get out of the doors? You had disembark points in all the vehicles. Like the Wave Serpent only had one; it was in the rear. Mm-hmm. Rhinos had back and the 2 sides, mm-hmm. but that. I don't know if they'll ever do that again, because it does add some complexity to how your movements are, but it did make a difference in how you moved your vehicles.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I personally was a fan of it, but at the same time, I found my way to Tau and Eldar and things of the sort, which don't necessarily require that.
Yeah. And Zoobs on that, he goes, I'm 100% on this, brother. Zoobs goes, I want to play an edition where I have more than 7 comp options in my book and 58 options that serve no real purpose. He goes, we were Hortons, pulled stuff off and had spider webs. I did that at Snakes a couple weeks ago. I just have, when they said something about the Land Raider, I looked at it. Mine has like an inch of dust on it. It's like in the back underneath the cabinet. It's just, and I don't know what we're doing with strats. They haven't said anything like that, but like, I would like to have real options and fewer options that are actually just fewer options, period. But like, they're legit. Because right now you think you have a lot of options. You don't. We've got like 80 stratagems and you use 5. You know what I mean? To be honest, if that. I mean, think about a game with your Tau. What do you got? You've got strike and fade. You've got -2 charge. +1.
I
The
blow
wound.
up battle suits +1 AP, and then if I'm playing Farsight, then drop zone clear. If I'm playing Tau Step, then focus fire.
Yeah, it's 5.
But there's 5.
Yeah, and it's just like you've got literally a box of cards for actually. It's just it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, Adam, they said 18 universal strats +6 per detachment. I don't. That's basically for the index. I'm just hoping as we move forward that they don't feel the need to put 1,000 different stupid things in. I'd also like to see some uniqueness. I'd really like to see unique craft, like basically craft worlds and chapters having rules that, and basically maybe limitations of units that make them different than other things. Right now, you just have this homogenous Eldar, Marine, whatever, and you just kind of, it feels like you're basically copying the homework and changing your name at the top. They're all the same because they share the same book, the same things. I mean, maybe Space Wolves and Blood Angels have, a little bit of difference in how they are. But like, I'd like to see more chapters with that.
Yeah, I mean that perfectly makes sense. I would like to see some chapter rules that are more specific to how the army plays thematically. Whereas like Eldar, it doesn't matter if I'm playing Biltan, Uthwe, or a custom craft world. I'm basically playing the same.
Yeah,
list.
but you could make it like the way that it used to be. And for a lot of people that have, because I'm an old man playing 40K, back in the day, in my age, depending on what your craft order, what your chapter was, and also who your leaders were, your captains, your autarchs, your stuff like that, it determined who had troop roles. For instance, Biltan had elites as troops. Sam Hain had bikes. If you took a captain from Marines and he was on a bike, then you got bikes on this, but you got limitations. So I'd love to see more of that when you build your army around a certain idea that you get restricted. You get bonuses, but you get restrictions. So it's always like a give take of, you have to add up the pros and cons. And we haven't done that really well. I like the new character rules quite a bit, Adam. You know what? Screw it. I'll just go to that before the next question on Discord. For forever, literally forever, for the first 6 editions of 40K, independent characters, which is what they were called at the time, automatically joined a unit if they were within 3 inches of it, and they just became part of that unit, and they buffed that unit. I don't like I hate fucking aura abilities. I hate them. They become too hard to balance, too easy to use, and they become too OP. You can't make, like, characters right now that have super hard buffings, they can get out of control. If you only buff one unit, it's super easy to make really awesome, thematically powerful characters because they can't OP everything. You know what I mean? They're not making a 6-inch or a 9-inch or a 12-inch aura of go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? You can make this one unit go fuck yourself. So I like that quite a bit, but I also like the thematic of that happening. I also hate the fact that my character is supposed to be leading the charge sometimes, and then you roll like everybody makes the charge except for him, and he's like, "Hey guys, wait up for me!
Well,
Have fun raiding storming the castle."
what was it? I was playing a game in an RTT, and Farsight just tripped over his own feet like 3 times.
Yeah, and the thing is I do not want to see Death Stars come back at all. The end of 7th edition was just a bag of dicks. I mean, it just was. And that's where you have to have, I see people get upset because everything just dies right now. I'd much rather have that than the end of 7th where you couldn't kill fucking anything. I mean, it was just so stupid.
Well, at the end of 7th, I was bouncing back and forth between the Space Wolf Death Star with the Thunder Wolves that were just unkillable. I had the Eldar Combined Arms Detachment with a Riptide Wing, and then on top of that, I had the Splitting Pink Horror mass that was just the end of 7th, which was...
Oh, it's just, you could bring anything too. It's just nuts. You're like Ancient Allies, Eldar, and Demons.
I mean, I really loved just summoning Siege Demons with my Rune Priest. That was pretty sweet.
Ooh, this is a good... God damn it. You're putting good stuff out here, Adam. You're making me come away from not do the Discord stuff first. How will we reflect the 9th in the pantheon of editions? So I actually really like 9th. And so, like, if I was going to rank... And I don't even put them in order, but, like, I really enjoyed fourth because it was a very good time to make your own. Whatever you were playing, you could really make it your own. You had lots of customizable options. If you wanted to spend all of your points on war gear and have a stupid army, you could do that. But you had lots of things. That's when you had the Craftwork Codex supplement where you could do all this stuff. All the chaos had very unique stuff for each and every army as far as the legions went. And Marines had very, very set roles is what they could do because they were all individual books and they didn't draw units from each other. So when you played a Blood Angels, a Black Templars, or whatever, they only got those units that were in their codex, and they could just be like, well, you just don't get that shit. You know what I mean? You're not a shooty chapter, you know what I mean, or successor. It's, yeah, I mean, yes, Brandon, he's not wrong. 7th edition was actually pretty good at the very, very beginning because they from 6th to 7th, basically 7th was 6.5. And then they put out, it wasn't just formations, it was the Psychic Awakening books that brought in all the spells. Because that's where you got invisibility, the rerollable 2-up save, you know what I mean, all that kind of bullshit. I mean, all the technomancy discipline was insane. For anybody that didn't play the game back then, you had a spell that you could legitimately put all your units. You could put like your army in a forest, and then you would cast the spell and move that forest 24 inches. And then you could just assault out of that forest. It was basically, you treated it like a vehicle.
I mean, I really miss my Seer's Council. That thing was amazing.
Yes. Basically anything that said something, my blah, 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 Death Star, yes, it was amazing. Wolf Star, Seer Council Star, Puppy Star, it just didn't matter. They were all fucking bullshit. I got Matt again on the Discord here. Holy Jesus, terrain rolls. We're back to see it and you shoot it. Blank +1 save in all instances. I actually like what they've done so far with the terrain. We need more specifics, though, because some of the rules are obviously vague because they're just revealing them. I really, really want them to flesh out the fucking terrain rules this time, though, because they write such... No one wants an argument, you know what I mean? And the rules lawyer guys are going to take advantage of this, where at the beginning of an edition, they need, you know, this is this and this is how it works all the fucking time. You know what I mean? Not, this is this, and then you're like, yeah, but what about this, this, and this? You know what I mean? I don't want to do the thing where you can fight 2 inches off those pipes. Well, then can I consolidate and be 1 inch away, not over the pipes, and then your opponent can't attack you anymore? You know what I mean? Like, we already had that. So, like, as long as they clear that up, I'd love that. I do really, really like that they've already said straight up, if it's a ruin and things of that nature, you can't see through it, period. Just, I don't care what it looks like. You know what I mean? And that helps so much because you limit the argument down.
So I think the biggest thing I'm hoping for is that terrain, even though it looks really simple right now, it comes out with a more complete wording on everything. Just like you said, because we are going to have arguments based off the simplicity that's there right now. People will find a way to abuse it.
And they've got some... I'm really wondering what they're going to do with complete and partial visibility. There's got to be some stuff on that. I'm excited. I wish they would actually have put more terrain rules out in their reveal, because from what I've seen so far, I'm very excited to see what they're doing, because they already... I mean, the 7th edition terrain rules were shit. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. And then 8th edition got a little bit better. 9th edition, I think that we didn't use enough of like things like crates and things of that nature, which I think have really good rules because you can't go through them. They don't have breachable. They cause problems for your opponents, but they also mean that you can logistically use your tactics around these kind of things. And I'd like to see more of that in different types of terrain. You know what I mean? Like if you remember back in the day, like the things like pipes gave you +1, I think it was +1 to wound on flamers or something, or extra wound. I can't remember what it did, but like you just have more stuff. I love dangerous terrain and difficult terrain and shit like that. Things that add an element to. With the TOs though, for everybody that's TOing and getting ready for this edition, put down a piece of paper, cards next to the terrain. I don't care how you mark them, but like make it easier for players to know what the keywords or whatever they're going to call them anymore of the terrain are. Currently watching it work. That's what I like to see. Jeff showing up with Punishers and Pask and a Punisher and 4 Leaving Russes. Yeah, that sounds about right. All of it. But I'm excited for the terrain, man.
I think one thing I really want to know is how vehicles are going to interact in close combat now with the new rules. Are we still going to be able to shoot indie units if we're tagged by them, or are we just kind of locked down, have to fall back and suffer for a turn?
I don't know that. One of the things I'd love to see also is the rundown rule. If you remember, when you used to leave combat, you're just like, if you didn't have like the ability to do it, you just got killed. I agree, Mike. Mike he was partially visible. He wants us to like see. He's excited for what they've shown so far. Craters, woods, containers are so much more viable now. Yes, with those rules, I like them a lot, and I hope that we see more of them. Because having a different, the fact that like only an L helped at all right now. At the end of 9th, literally, if you don't have an L, it just doesn't fucking matter. Besides containers, which I like containers a lot. I mean, things that block line of sight and also have special rules, I just think are cool. I'd really like to see things that the inspiring pieces and stuff like that be viable. The game's just so lethal right now. So I am really excited. I wonder what I want to see what Towering Foe is, or if that's only going to be like 18 wound things like it is now, kind of a rule.
I was kind of thinking like in the back of my head, things like the Greater Demons from Forge World, the Primarchs that are Chaos Knights, things of the sort. Yeah. I automatically assume Taunar, and then the what was it? The Storm Surge are automatically going to have it. I mean, that's just the best assumption I can come up with at this time.
So, real quick for everybody, this is a little ways off, but we're going to Kansas City in the first weekend in June, which is actually the 2nd and 3rd, I think it is. As soon as we get back, I'm actually going the day early because they're having a bunch of demos, all-day demos, and I'm planning on playing 10th edition literally for the entire day, over and over again, to really get the mechanics down and literally busting their balls on how exactly interactions work. So that, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a couple videos about my time with that, taking pretty extensive notes and really crush them out. I don't know if they're doing them next week on that. I thought that the first one was going to be in June. If they're doing demos somewhere soon, I will just go there, to be honest with you. But I know for sure that they were doing them in KC, and they're doing them all day in KC, and that is literally the first weekend of June.
Yep, sure is. That's the only one I know of for sure right now. But I mean, Games Workshop could have demos going on.
That's what they did with the pipes. Promethean pipes extended your range.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Warhammer Fest is like in England, isn't it? Yeah, I won't be at that one. Yeah, I was just about to say. Yeah, well, you guys are spoiled, Adam. That's bullshit. Just because GW's in England, I don't really have a chance. Well, you're in charge of getting me those rules then, Adam. You know what? I'm about to block somebody's calls if I don't get some demo sheets sent over to me. Hold on. Fax them over to me.
I don't know. I'm really excited. The idea that it's going to be more of a durable edition means that we're going to get to just outplay our opponent that much more, which is going to be awesome.
I do think it's going to be very durable. I think that until they show me something different, the tanks have been laughably better than everything else they've shown. I mean, it's not even close. Also, every single picture has tanks. Go to the 10th edition page with all the articles. Every single picture has a fucking bitch ton of tanks. I'm holding up. Lane's talking about this. He's like, I'll set up a webcam. I'm expecting this from you now. If I don't get that, I won't even be mad. I'll just be disappointed. I'm just saying.
I was talking to Raleigh the other day. I'm actually looking at running some old Forge World Eldar vehicles with the new edition, just because they're arguably better and more durable, but they still shoot super well.
100%. And then we'll see what we got on that. Let's go back to the Discord on this. Blah blah blah. What advice would you give to a new tournament player, not fully new to the game, to keep in mind before and during games when they're up against people and factions that they haven't fought? Feel free to have an example faction or two in mind to be more specific. Oh, 100%. This is super easy. Great question, but super easy examples. So you're playing GSC. So ask questions. I cannot state to ask questions. One, I do this myself, but like people that I coach, I have them write down a list of pre-game questions that you ask in every game. And obviously some of them might change in this new edition, but fights first. Do you have redeploy? Do you have ways to move outside the movement phase? Can you heroic differently? And then just ask them, tell me any special things that your army can do, like, and just let them. Put it on your time. If you're using a clock, I cannot stress this enough. Nobody wants to lose because you found out about how an army did something in turn 3. Also, it feels shitty. You could take a great game and then feel like you got gotcha, and now you feel like, before it was just like a fun game. Now it feels like you got scammed. It's Minik has arrived. And that is true. I haven't seen Antitate stuff, but that is the biggest thing is ask questions. And then my usual things of pre-measure. You have to continue to have conversations throughout the game. New player, old player, I do not care. If I'm playing Brenton right now, or if I'm playing a guy that just started playing yesterday, anytime I'm making moves, anytime I'm going to shoot things, anytime I'm staging things, I'm going to talk about what I'm doing as far as, hey, do we agree that you can't see me here? Let's just go ahead and measure this out. Hey, I don't want to be charged by this unit. Let's go ahead and measure this out. You have to have a conversation with your opponent all the time. Your games will be a million times better, and you'll win way more too. But it just helps you, especially as a new player, have those conversations, because it stinks to lose games or to have weird basically situations in games that could have been solved. I see so many people arguing over dumb shit that if they just had a conversation before would never have happened. Don't ruin your time. You're playing with toys.
I cannot agree more. I mean, just 2 examples I had was in Pittsburgh. I had the one Gene Stealer match where my whole turn was planned around nuking this one capability, and I successfully did it. Just to line up a 4-inch charge. I rolled a 6, and then I was trying to leave him behind this wall this far back, and it just became a thing. And I didn't talk through my turn well enough to tell him what my intent was the whole turn going through. So I kind of just left her in an awkward spot. And you don't want to seem like a jerk, so I just gave it to him. I was like, fine, move your guy back, see if I can get a longer charge. And losing games for something like that just leaves you with an icky feeling, especially when in mid-turn everything's going well, everything's going as you've planned it, and then it's just bad news.
100% of them, and it's a big deal in that it's a big, and most players will just help you. I will accidentally almost beat myself by helping my opponent all the time if you just keep asking me questions. I will explain how.
That was our first game.
Yeah. I will tell you how to beat my army. Well, I can do this and I can do this. Most people don't want to have a good time. They want to move their toys around. They're not looking to lose, but they're also not looking to have a bad time. Again, still playing with toys.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly on that. I'm going to go back to that way later, Adam. Adam goes, well, we have a better community play experience if we got rid of internet points rankings. That is an hour-long chat. I will hit that at the end.
That's a big thing in its own.
It is true. Gosh goes, can't confirm, Brad. Team too honest. I tricked no one. I got yelled at by Alan. That's a different story on this. When you don't, the playmakers got something for me. When you don't have the ability to get a game in, what's the best way to practice solo? It's so good. Deploy your army. I can't
regularly,
just all the time. I can't tell you to do this enough. In the basement at your table on TTS, just you have to know what your footprint is. You have to know where you're going to be able to place things. Do I have to put in reserve? Is my army got too big of an ass so that it's always seen? Am I fast enough to get to the objectives. Can I score? What am I taking in my secondaries? How am I contesting primaries? All of that you don't need an opponent for that. You need to figure out how my deployment looks and how my first turn looks. I set my army up so much to make sure, and it also helps because you go into tournament play and you know exactly where you deploy. If you're playing player place terrain, I know exactly how I'm going to place my terrain. I know what I'm going to do before I even get to the table. I always have a ton of time to play my game because I cut out all that, but I'm very confident going into the game because I've already placed that. Yes, getting games in and everything is very, very good, but like deploying your army and knowing your deployment in your first turn, I would say are equally as valuable, minimum equally as valuable.
So one of the things I actually do is I'll sit at a table and deploy my army. I'll practice my movement, just like you said. But I also take problem units like what the Terminators were when they first came out for Chaos Space Marines. And I'm like, okay, this unit's very durable. They're hard to hit. They're hard to wound. They're hard to kill. How do I do it? So I was actually at my table in my store just rolling dice regularly with my unit in mind, what buffs I wanted in mind. And I just figured out what worked against them. And my wife's like, what are you doing? I'm just sitting there rolling dice by myself. I'm like, huh?
It's a big thing on that. And it improves your game a huge amount. Also, Josh making good points, and then Tom chimes in with, I just like having long games that come down to the wire. Shut up, Tom.
I think Tom and I have literally only had one of those games. Usually he blows me off the table.
I think Tom's games, win or lose, are still done in 8 seconds.
Usually.
You know what? Zoobs has a huge point on that. People who want to get better spend too much time practicing turns 3 through 5, 1,000%. The game is 90% of the time, the game is determined by turn 2, period. I actually want to bet on this. I bet a couple guys, they gave me 6 games, and I said if I see a picture of turn 2, I can always determine the victor. And I went 6-0 on it because it's just, you can see what's happening. Somebody's out of position. Someone has made a mistake, and the other person's going to capitalize on it. 40K is literally a snowball game. Once you make that error, and the other person sees it, it's basically just picks up steam down there. So everyone just practice deployment, practice turn 1. If you mess those up, the thing that I hear the most coaching is I felt like I was a turn behind all the time. And that's because you deployed slightly wrong, you moved slightly wrong on turn 1. It doesn't have to be huge misses either. It's just, and all of a sudden you're out of position, and now you feel like you're chasing your own tail around, trying to figure out what's going on. You have to have a game plan. You have to play your game plan. You can't just try to react. If you react to your opponent, you're not going to win a great percentage of your games. You have to implement your game plan. You have to have the ability. You want to have agency over the game. And you don't have that if you're just reacting. If you and I play and I only figure out what I'm doing based on what you're doing, that sounds like hard work. I love everything about that statement. Jesus. Daddy goes, what are tells or gameplay from your opponent that informs you as what they're about to do or how they're about to play the game? And examples how you adapt or not to it. 100%. I talk about this quite a bit. It's a big deal on the fact that, like right now, I can tell 100% how the game is going to be played by my opponent by their secondaries. If they choose aggressive secondaries, they have to be in certain places in the game. It's also a million percent keep track of your game. You have to know the points, because if Brent and I are playing right now and I'm behind by 4 to 8 points, Brenton knows that I now have to make those points up. So he knows that I have to come to an objective and try to take it away from him. I have to try to extend for my secondary.
And at that point, I'm literally just setting up the fire lane to shoot you while you're there.
100%. You can just, where they're going. You put the big Roadrunner X on it and just go, well, go. You have to go here to take this away. And then you can play accordingly, which is why it's such a big deal to know where the game is on that. I see so many people extending the board out when they don't need to do anything to win the game. Just don't even bother. You know what I mean? Just plan for where your opponent's going to be. You can just do that between their secondaries and hopefully you chose your secondaries or game plan and your secondaries to synergize. I see people do that a lot too, which is I'm going to play counterpunchy. I'm going to play a real, hit them as they come, and then you choose all secondaries that are super aggressive, and you have to go to the other side of the board. You're like, yeah, but your game plan's exactly the opposite, man. So you have to watch out what you're doing, but like what they're doing. It's super big on that. So I mean, just between secondaries and the score, you're going to get that. So that's why I always say I like to keep the game even or ahead as you move forward, because it forces your opponent to make plays.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. Brad is a towel. If he can't stand up, there's a chance he may try to remove my models instead of his models. I've seen me do it. Actually, I didn't see. I was completely somewhere else. I was astrally projecting somewhere at that point in time. Yes, Vic, we're going to start doing some battle reports. We are all semi-scattered and trying to figure out where we're putting the equipment. Brent knows me a battle report. We're talking about it. Down south, Brandon and Crowley are going to get some battle reports, and I am going to meet Tom, Lyle, and the boys somewhere in Michigan to get some battle reports. We will have them up. We're probably going to be pushing them out closer to 10th once it comes up, and we're going to stream a lot of games when 10th comes up. So we might have a game here and there where we're putting our toe in the water just to screw around and see what's going on there. This is a good question. What are a couple things that you were really hoping for with 10th that we haven't heard anything of? So basically wishful thinking. Now that we know that it's going to be quite a bit different from 9th. And then a follow-up question, because I want to get into that. That's a lore question. But I'm going to do this first. I really, really hope that we get Tank Shock or some version of Tank Shock back. That is one of the biggest rules that I miss from earlier editions. For everybody that doesn't know, you used to be able to just declare a Tank Shock. And I can shamelessly promote our brand on this too. You declared a Tank Shock. You said, I'm just driving forward with a tank, and anybody in the way that wasn't a vehicle had two options: get the fuck out of the way, or death or glory, which is you could stand there and you automatically hit the tank, and you had the chance to kill it or immobilize it. At the time was an option, and stand there. And the tank, thematically, if you immobilized it, would immobilize directly in front of your face, like an anime, basically. You shot it, the tank in a big cloud of smoke slides right up on you.
It may be reaching back. I kind of hope that like if vehicles are destroyed or immobilized, we have like them become something similar to dense cover again, making it hard to see, or obscuring pieces even where you could put like small infantry behind them. But
it's one of those things where I just hated the fact that, like, dude, if you're like driving a Lehman Russ or a Land Raider, like if 4 Grots are in front of you, fuck off. Just they might not even know they're there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm driving over those dudes. Just get out of here. I really hated that. As far as going to Victor and Steve on this, and the Zoobs on this, we're going to do better reports, but we'll also I'm planning on doing some basically edited battle reports where we basically draw on it and talk about people ourselves. We might do we're going to do, my plan on is do top games and just games of DOG guys. So a combination of both, but we'll do like a 20-minute video of just like, here's the whole game, here's what happened, and then we'll also have some random battle reps. You know what I mean? But I agree on that. I enjoy an edited battle rep where you talk about what happened and just kind of zip in, and then also I get to use a Madden marker on it. Boom, speed kills. So we're gonna rock this out. As half the people are like, "What the fuck is he talking about?" But here's the thing I'm gonna go on. Great question. One of my favorites because I love lore. What lore advancements are you personally waiting for? Holy shit, man. We did such a great job, partially with 8th and 9th, because before then, from 2nd edition to 8th edition, Abaddon was still on a Black Crusade, the 13th Black Crusade. So for 25 years of 40K, we were in the exact same lore. And I love the fact that we're pushing it forward. I'm really excited to see what's going down with the Rift. They split the galaxy in two. I still really wish they brought back one of the more aggressive Primarchs than the Lion, because the Lion is too similar to Bobby G in at least temperament. Because I'd like to see an aggressive Primarch start up basically to push back. I mean, Bobby G's pushing back, but he's pushing back in like a very organized, take back the Imperium, fortify stuff. I want like Russ to come out, or even like a Vulcan where he's just like, I'm going to save people. You know what I mean? Like someone that will aggressively push into all this shit. Because we've got the Imperium's literally surrounded by everything. On all sides, you basically have Tyranids right now. Also, Tyranids are like really close to Terra, by the way. If you look at the map, like really close to Terra. So that could be something that's going on. I'd love to see that. The crowns are everywhere. Eldar's doing Eldar stuff because they're just putting their fingers in everything because that's what they do. They're Eldar's a nosy neighbor. So just fucking with shit. But I'd like to see some aggressive expansionists back and getting that and moving the lore forward. I'd also like to see what's going on. We've been tantalized that we're getting a new Chaos God with what's his face, but also the Emperor is basically close to godhood. We've got the Tau accidentally creating gods, the Warp. There's just a lot of shit that I'd like to see some of that shit that was hinted at and teased push forward.
I really want to see the Void Dragon wake up.
Yeah. Vashtar, yes, Josh. Also, fuck, man. Is there somebody that has a cooler model and cooler lore and the shittiest stat line ever put in place in the fucking universe? Oh my god, that guy's a dumpster fire. He's so awesome looking, and his lore is nuts. He's literally walking up to 4 Chaos Gods going, hey, look what I found. Oh, go fuck yourself. Like, he's insane. And then you got his model and you're like, here's my stats. I'm kind of like a Dreadnought, but shittier. Like, what?
Oh.
He's so shitty.
They did him no justice.
Oh.
So much hype around it just for a big letdown.
Fuck.
But I mean, while we're at it, like, let's talk about the Lions letdown of rules.
But the thing is, the Lion's at least a badass. You know what I mean?
He's badass till he's shot.
Yes. The thing is, all those guys need to not be monsters, to be perfectly honest with you. Mm-hmm. That would help quite a bit. And Britt just walked by, double joint in face. So, but if those guys could just join a squad, even it would help a ton.
It would.
So his rolls are bad. I actually like the Lion. The Lion, I'm going to put the Lion on the board at some point in time, just because that model looks badass as shit.
It looks great as long as you don't use the head that looks like Tywin Lannister.
Dude, middle-aged Lion has seen some shit. I identify with that guy. He looks like while he was gone the last 10,000 years, he's had like 2 divorces and a hip surgery.
I mean, he's been busy. He's been taking a nap and then astral projecting like an ethereal force somewhere and just walking out of it. Like, let's go.
I agree, Mike, on that. He goes, Lion is for sure a 10th edition sheet, just in 9th format. I also think that is true, because his rules kind of don't make sense comparatively.
Well, they did say that starting with the Demon Codex, we're going to kind of see a little bit of what the 10th would look like in a way. So that's got me kind of excited, because I feel like the Demon Codex, though strong as mixed, it gives a lot of flavor to using things on their own as intended.
Yeah, I mean, Adam did call me out. Brad doesn't play expensive models, but I do have them all. I have a Morty. I have a Magnus. I have all the big guys, and I think they look really cool. You know who I actually thought and people can throw tomatoes at me. I thought Angron has great rules for what he is, because he's such a high risk, high reward kind of guy that I just think he's cool. I mean, I'm probably not going to play him in a competitive list because Avocado's like 1 billion times better than him. But for a big guy, he does real damage and like crushes, but he also is a big dude, so he can get shot down.
he also keeps coming back.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I actually liked his mechanics. So I don't know if he's like the best thing you can bring. Probably not, but it's hard to balance big dudes. I mean, Morty has literally rode the roller coaster of being legitimate or not, for instance. You know what I mean? It's just depending on where you are in a meta, a big creature sometimes can be just undealable with. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And once you get to a certain damage level, nobody gives a shit. You know what I mean? And then they just die. And you're just like, oh, cool. I brought a 450 point model. What happened to him? He's gone. Disappeared. So I'm going to go back up because we're towards the end of our times, but I want to go back to a couple of the ones that are at the wall. Click, click, click. I'm going to go back to Adams. Would we have a better community play experience if we got rid of internet points rankings? I don't know. They need to do a better job of it with that. If you're going to hold rankings as a thing and people will give a shit about them, then you have to have an ELO kind of thing and you have to have players playing each other on that.
Yep.
I don't actually like. I'm going to win. I spent a lot of time playing 40K. I spent a lot of time preparing for 40K tournaments. I'm trying to win. However, I don't like it to be cutthroat everything. I'd rather lose a game and just have a good time than have a terrible game and win.
100%.
So, like, I'm worried if we super implement, like, rankings and ratings and all that kind of shit, that we'll have a win-at-all-cost type of mentality. And you won't get people playing by intent having a good time. Maybe that's not anything. You know what I mean? Right now, you can play games at super high level and have a great time. You know what I mean? Brendan and I play right now. I'm not trying to lose that game. He's not trying to lose that game. We're going to be playing the game of our lives, but in the end, I'm not going to try to scam him. You know what I mean? So it's how to maintain that community feel. Because in essence, this is a game that was supposed to be played beer and pretzels at your friend's house. And we made it a competitive game. And is that a good thing? Well, I've been playing it for 23 years now, so hopefully. So I've had a good time doing it. But with that being said, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, we have to implement some serious better rulings right now, because one of the things that's hard in 40K is that we have a lot of gray verbiage, and that can be taken advantage of if you're just trying to scam your opponent. And if we put too much emphasis on that, then that's a big thing.
I think one of the only things I was really concerned with the competitive meta was, like you said before, just have that conversation. Make sure you're on the same page, because your initial conversation is going to tell you exactly how your opponent's going to be. And then on top of that, hoping we get a consistency with events as far as rulings go. Because I would like nothing more than there to be a universal, like, set of rulings that we know we're going to go to, whereas LVO, I can go get something rule completely different than Warzone Atlanta or Nova. So it'd be nice to get something consistent, and then, as you know, you've said before, Brad, just keep having those conversations with your opponent to produce those better experiences.
Sorry, I'm going to go to the wall because I'm going to give like the easy ones. In a trade meta, you can't bring 200 points of dead. Mike's like, you know, with how good the blood tithe options are, I feel like Resing Anger is kind of a waste. Kind of, because the blood tithe options are super good. That's why I like Avocado. Yeah, I mean, he's so good. And then you get back to Zooms, who goes, the biggest issue with 40K, it's bearded pretzels, but the community is no longer bearded pretzels. The community is half that and half greasy porno hard.
I feel called out.
Oh, fuck me, man. Oh, with that, has anybody got a good question that they want answered before we rock and roll? I'm going to do these about probably once a month. I'm just going to show up on the weekend, and we'll advertise it a little bit better than the not advertised.
Well, we're talking about getting a website pretty soon to where you're going to be able to follow a schedule and see exactly what we're doing and when we're going to do it.
Yep. We are trying to be adults moving into the future here. In good news, our Britt just yelled from the other room, but in good news, we're still on schedule with what we were trying to do, because we said basically by the summer we'd have these, so we still have time to achieve the goals that we started when we launched the channel in the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It was basically after LVO. So in good times, we're almost got Jesus Christ, Britt.
What? I don't have anything to carry on the internet at the moment.
She's just in a hat, sunglasses, double joint. Okay.
I had to go work and pick up chips.
So, my lovely woman is leaving, and she's also wearing a shirt that says "Go suck a dick." Really, really completing the look. You know what? Just show up for a second. I need people to see what the hell's happening here.
And,
That's what lives with me.
Alright.
Okay.
I'll be back.
But we've got a lot of content. We're trying again, as throwing rocks. We will have it more organized. We're pushing out new site. We've got a lot of new content coming out. I'm doing Mondays and Thursdays as we've done before at 7:00. I've got a new Wednesday show coming out where Brandon Valley's gonna hobby and I'm gonna yap, and then we're putting out kind of a lot of short videos, and we're gonna push out some game streams, some edited game streams where we just talk about it. And Tom Segura just walked on set. Well, I need to deal with that. Britt is the real lion. Everyone, thanks for hanging out. I just wanted to kind of put this out. We're going to do this once a month. Put up your questions and stuff. In the Discord, you can go live in the chat, but I'm going to do this once a month, every 2 weeks. It really depends on the tournament schedule, to be perfectly honest. It's either going to be, I will guarantee that I'm going to do at least once a month, and it could be every 2 weeks. It just depends on how much stuff we have. I'm going to be doing quite a few quick reaction videos over the next couple weeks as we get 10th edition stuff. You literally managed to join when it's ending. I did answer a lot of your questions though, my friend. And on that, Queen's Wave, we're out of here.